Be prepared. Your soul is about to experience a spiritual awakening. Right now, your soul is being updated to fit the fifth dimension, and at first this can feel annoying. But this is a good thing. Your soul is being prepared for a new level of energy, clarity, and spiritual alignment. And because of the upcoming new moon tonight, this process is being sped up. The new moon is pushing this shift forward, making the changes feel stronger, faster, and harder to ignore. Your soul is starting to not be able to tolerate certain things, and you need to know what they are. Some rooms look normal, but your body knows they are empty. Nothing has to be visibly wrong. The people can be polite. The lights can be on. The conversation can sound harmless. Everything can look fine. And still, something inside you says, I do not want to be here. That is not random. When you are shifting, you stop judging spaces by how they look. You start feeling what they carry. Some places have noise, but no life. People, but no presence. Smiles, but no truth. And your body starts rejecting that. You may suddenly crave simple things. Fresh air, a clean room, a candle. A place where you do not have to stay guarded just to exist. That is the real shift. You are no longer impressed by spaces that look good, but feel dead. Your soul wants somewhere it can breathe. And this new moon is making that clear. It is showing you the difference between places where you can survive and places where you can soften. So if certain homes, workplaces, or social settings suddenly feel heavy, you are not being dramatic. Your body is telling the truth before your mind can explain it. Most people talk about the fifth dimension like it is a peaceful place where everything suddenly feels light, beautiful, and easy. But when your soul is actually shifting into it, the first thing you may feel is not bliss. It is exposure. You start noticing too much. You feel when something is off before anyone explains it. You sense when a room is fake, when a smile is forced, when your own life no longer feels aligned with who you are becoming. And yes, that can make you nervous. But it does not mean something is wrong. It means your awareness is opening faster than your old identity can explain. Fifth dimension consciousness is not escaping reality. It is finally seeing the parts of reality you were trained to ignore. And this new moon is speeding that up. It is pulling your attention inward and making the old illusions harder to keep alive. So if you feel strange, alert, or unable to go back to sleep spiritually, do not fear it. Your soul is not breaking. It is waking up with its eyes open. Another strange sign is that you suddenly cannot tolerate anything that feels stuck. Not just slow, stuck. The same habits, the same excuses, the same conversations, the same situations that have not moved in months. Suddenly, your body starts rejecting them before your mind has a full plan. This is not anxiety. This is not restlessness. This is your soul refusing to confuse delay with peace. Sometimes impatience is not a flaw. Sometimes it is your spirit recognizing that it has waited long enough. In the fifth dimension, energy either flows or it does not. And when something has no movement, your body starts feeling it immediately. The new moon is not just a new beginning. It is the strange space before the beginning when the old cycle has ended, but the new one has not fully shown itself yet. That is why this energy can feel so unusual in the body. It is not loud. It is not obvious. It is not always emotional in the way people expect. Sometimes it feels like your whole inner world has gone quiet, but at the same time, certain things hit you harder than they used to. A comment that once would have meant nothing suddenly stays with you. A room that once felt normal suddenly feels too heavy. A routine that used to keep you busy suddenly feels empty. But then, On the other side, things that used to feel urgent now feel strangely irrelevant. You may look at something you were stressing over last week and suddenly think, why was I giving that so much of my life? This is not your body malfunctioning. This is your body changing its baseline. And that is a big difference. Because when your soul starts shifting into fifth dimension consciousness, your nervous system cannot keep responding to life from the same old level. It begins to reset what it reacts to, what it ignores, what it allows in, and what it refuses to carry. The body does not just heal by becoming calmer. Sometimes it heals by becoming more honest about what disturbs it. That is exactly what this new moon is amplifying. The moon disappears from view, the sky goes dark, and everything enters that silent in-between state. Nature pauses before the next cycle begins, and your body may be doing the same thing from the inside. It is clearing the slate. It is dropping what belonged to the last version of you. There is a kind of hunger that food cannot touch. And this is one of the most misunderstood signs of shifting, because the body will try to explain it in the only way it knows how. You may feel strange cravings. You may want to eat more than usual or less than usual. You may reach for comfort foods, sugar, heavy meals, snacks, or anything that gives the body a quick feeling of being filled. But then something strange happens. You eat, and the hunger is still there. Not in the stomach exactly, but somewhere deeper. It feels like a craving for something you cannot name. It is not just physical. It is almost like your life is asking to be fed. And when you are shifting into fifth dimension consciousness, this can happen because the body is craving more life force, but it does not always have the language for that. So it reaches for food, it reaches for taste, it reaches for fullness, it reaches for something physical, because physical hunger is easier to understand than spiritual hunger. But what the soul may actually be asking for is beauty, meaning, aliveness, real connection, a reason to feel excited again, a reason to wake up and feel like your life has a pulse. Sometimes you are not hungry for food. You are hungry for a life that finally feeds you back. That line matters because once you understand this, everything changes. You stop treating every craving like something that needs to be solved with the body, and you start asking what part of your life has become too empty to nourish you. Maybe your soul is hungry for creativity. Maybe it is hungry for movement, sunlight, laughter, music, purpose, a real conversation, a place that feels alive, or a version of you that is no longer just surviving the day. And this does not mean food is bad. It means food cannot replace life. The new moon brings this up because it exposes the empty spaces. It shows where you have been filling yourself instead of nourishing yourself. And once you see the difference, the craving begins to change. Because now, the hunger is no longer just a problem. It becomes a message. It becomes the soul saying, "Feed me with something real." And now, it's time for today's comment of the day. If great power comes with great responsibility, then great wisdom comes with great blessings. People talk a lot about gaining more success, more influence, more ability. But this comment points at something else. Wisdom, because wisdom changes how you receive things. Two people can be given the same opportunity, the same resources, the same moment, and create completely different outcomes from it. Not because one had more, but because one understood more. And maybe blessings aren't always just what arrives. Maybe they're also what you're able to recognize, keep, and grow once they do. Thank you for sharing this perspective. One of the clearest signs of this shift is that you can no longer move at the speed of other people's panic. You may notice this in small ways at first. Someone wants an instant reply, but your body refuses to rush. Someone wants you to make a decision, before you have even felt into it, and something in you pulls back. Someone brings emotional chaos to your door and expects you to react immediately, explain yourself immediately, fix it immediately, choose immediately. But you cannot do it the same way anymore. And at first, this can feel strange because the world teaches you that urgency is responsibility. It teaches you that being available means you care, that reacting quickly means you are serious, that moving fast means you are powerful. But when your consciousness begins shifting into the fifth dimension, you start realizing that a lot of urgency is not truth. It is fear wearing a costume. A rushed spirit is easy to control because it never has time to hear itself. That is why your body starts craving a deeper rhythm. Not laziness, not avoidance, not disappearing from life, something much more sacred than that. You begin needing space between the demand and your response, space between someone's emotion and your decision, space between the pressure of the world and the truth of your own soul. And this does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop letting panic decide for you. This new moon is amplifying that because new moon energy is not hurried. It does not force itself into visibility. It sits in the dark before the next cycle begins. It reminds the body that not everything sacred announces itself quickly. Some decisions need silence. Some answers need breath. Some paths cannot be chosen while someone else is pushing fear into your nervous system. So if you suddenly feel resistance when people rush you, it may not be rebellion. It may be wisdom returning to the body. You are not becoming slow, you're becoming harder to pressure. There is a very specific kind of person your body may start rejecting during this shift. The person who only feels comfortable around you when you are unsure of yourself. And that realization can hit hard, because some people did not love the old version of you because you were kind. They loved that version because you were easier to influence, easier to interrupt, easier to guilt, easier to pull back into doubt, easier to convince that your clarity was arrogance and your boundaries were cruelty. But once your consciousness starts shifting into the fifth dimension, your body begins noticing what your mind used to excuse. You may be around someone and suddenly feel your energy drop. You may walk into a conversation feeling clear, then leave feeling confused, small, or strangely guilty. You may not have proof of what they did. You may not be able to point to one obvious sentence, but your body tightens. Your breathing changes. Your confidence starts leaking out of you. That reaction is information. Confusion is not always an accident. Sometimes it is the atmosphere someone creates so they can stay in control. And this is where the shift becomes powerful, because you stop needing a courtroom-level explanation before trusting what your body keeps telling you. You stop giving unlimited access to people who make you doubt the truth you had before they entered the room. This does not mean you become paranoid. It means you become precise. You begin noticing who brings peace to your clarity and who profits from disturbing it. You begin noticing who helps you remember yourself and who subtly benefits when you forget. You begin noticing who respects your knowing and who keeps trying to drag you back into uncertainty. The new moon brings this into focus because it pulls hidden things to the surface without needing drama. Another sign is that your body may suddenly stop enjoying endless stimulation. Not because you are becoming disconnected from life, but because you are tired of being invaded by everything that is not yours. Too much talking starts feeling heavy. Too many opinions start feeling like pressure. Too much content starts making your mind feel crowded. Too much explaining, too much reacting, too much listening to people process the same fear in different words. It all begins to feel like noise pressing against your inner world. And this can confuse you at first because maybe you used to enjoy being constantly engaged. You used to have something playing in the background. You used to scroll without thinking. You used to fill every empty space with another voice, another message, another opinion, another distraction. But now, silence starts calling you differently, not because you want to disappear, but because you're trying to hear yourself again. Sometimes, the soul does not need more information. It needs the silence to remember what it already knows. This is what happens when your consciousness begins shifting into the fifth dimension. The body stops treating noise as normal. It starts recognizing how much of your energy has been spent absorbing things that never belonged to you in the first place. And once that awareness opens, constant input can feel almost physically uncomfortable. You may not want to explain yourself as much. You may not want to hear everyone's opinion. You may not want to consume every conversation, every trend, every emotional storm, every little piece of chaos trying to enter your field. That does not mean you are becoming cold. It means your inner authority is getting louder and the noise is starting to compete with it. Everything your body rejects is also pointing you somewhere. That is the part people miss. They think rejection only means loss. They think if they can no longer tolerate something, then something is being taken away. But sometimes what your body can no longer tolerate is not trying to punish you. It is trying to redirect you. If your body rejects chaos, it is guiding you toward peace. If it rejects fake connection, it is guiding you toward real love. If it rejects constant noise, it is guiding you back to your own voice. Every intolerance has a direction hidden inside it. The things you can no longer carry are revealing the life you are finally ready to enter. The rooms that feel heavy are showing you where your spirit cannot breathe. The conversations that drain you are showing you where your truth gets smaller. The habits that feel empty are showing you where your soul wants something more alive. Your rejection is not always resistance. Sometimes it is your soul pointing at the door. And this is why the shift can feel uncomfortable and hopeful at the same time. You are not just losing old comforts, you are gaining a new compass. Your body is becoming honest before your life has fully changed, and that honesty may feel inconvenient at first, but it is sacred because it is showing you where your energy actually belongs. Some people spend years asking for signs, but when the sign arrives through the body, they ignore it because it does not look spiritual enough. But sometimes the sign is simple. It is the heaviness before saying yes to something that feels wrong. It is the relief after walking away. It is the exhaustion after a conversation that should have felt easy. That is guidance too. And under this new moon, that guidance becomes harder to ignore. The old cycle is closing, and your body is showing you the difference between what you chose from fear and what you would choose from truth. Because the fifth dimension is not about escaping Earth. It is not about floating above life or pretending nothing here matters. It is about finally living here without betraying your soul. It is about eating, working, loving, resting, creating, speaking, choosing, and existing in a way that does not require you to abandon yourself every single day. That is the real shift, not leaving the world, entering your life with your spirit still intact. So when your body can no longer tolerate the old patterns, do not see it as punishment. See it as direction. See it as the new moon, clearing the old cycle out of your field. See it as your soul, refusing to keep building a future out of things it has already outgrown. Sometimes the life you are asking for cannot arrive until your body stops accepting the life that keeps blocking it. Because what you can no longer tolerate is not the end of your life. It may be the first clear sign of where your real life begins. And if you're still here, still listening, I truly appreciate you. Maybe something in you already knows that your body has been trying to speak for a long time. So do not hate the parts of you that can no longer tolerate the old life. Do not shame yourself for needing more peace, more truth, more space, or more meaning than before. That is not weakness. That is your spirit refusing to shrink back into a life it has already outgrown. And with this new moon, let that be the sign. Not that everything has to change overnight, but that something honest has finally begun inside you. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not losing yourself. You are being guided into a life your soul can actually breathe in.